So when it comes to dead bugs, every hypermobile person wants them. A lot of people go on a journey where they try and get them, and very, very few people get them successfully. Dead bugs, for me, were one of the last movements I got in my journey. I was able to do a lot of high skill, high strength, high cardiovascular stress exercises and different fitness things before I was able to successfully do dead bugs. And that's probably what led to my disc injury last summer, which really sucked. So that's why I've made this dead bug tutorial, just showing you a bunch of different ways that I help patients to develop a full dead bug. Full disclosure, I was supported in this by my coach, Sean. Sean is amazing. One of the best things about my work is getting to continuously learn new ways to approach exercise, new ways of thinking, and to try new movements and see how they work on my hypermobile body. I have HEDS, and on those of the patients I see. So this is one of the single biggest improvements that I've experienced. And if you're someone who is struggling with dead bugs, you get neck pain and people tell you, oh, that's just your neck getting stronger, which is what I was told by many different people in the fitness and health field for decades. No, if you feel pain, that is pain. You're injuring yourself. The journey to getting a full dead bug should be filled with no type of pain of injury. A little bit of absoreness is okay, but if you feel pain in your back or your neck, or your shoulders or anywhere that doesn't make sense with the movement, then we're going to consider that pain. As always, this is not medical advice. Please speak with your appropriately qualified and trusted healthcare provider or medical doctor to make sure that you are exercising in ways that are safe and appropriate for you and your uniquely hypermobile body. But if you want to do dead bugs, here are a couple thoughts. So one, limbs are heavy. I tried to talk about this on a podcast recently and don't think I did the best job, but your arms have weight, your legs have weight. They are attached to your body. It's very difficult to control movement in those joints because we are dealing with a lot of force going through them. And especially if you're someone like me who's tall, I have really, really long arms. Some of my patients have long legs. It just increases that demand. That being said, I like dead bugs. I always wanted them as a movement because I can see how they're a really good marker of core strength and stability. We are asking the body to move with control, the arms and the legs, while maintaining engagement through that anterior chain, through that core, right? Through those abs and those hip flexors and all the muscles on the front. If you're asking for a lot of stability and controlled, healthy, good mobility at the same time. For me, the trick to getting dead bugs was finally working with someone who told me that I didn't have to lift my neck up because that kept injuring me and making everything utterly pointless. So if you are someone whose neck is hurting, please do not do any of the variations where I'm lifting my neck up off the floor. That took me about 3 months of doing dead bug variations 2 to 3 times a week to get to. So please bear in mind, like that's a really difficult movement to build. And we need to be thoughtful, respectful, and kind to our bodies. When it comes to dead bugs as well, accepting that a couple millimeters of movement still count was a big win for me. I was always one of those overachievers trying to push myself, do the whole thing. No. As I told a patient earlier, like C's get degrees, right? So we want to move slowly, carefully, and in a way where we're not doing that overachievement, unless if it's a situation where we do want to do that, which there are some situations, but for now, we're just going to remember that little movements count, little movements matter, and we need to focus on those little movements sometimes. When it comes to dead bugs as well, two concepts, which again, full disclosure, these are from my coach. Like, I'm going to check these okay with me sharing this video before I share it because a lot of this is coming from him, but I think he'll be okay with it, so we'll find out. Anyways, I think of two lines of tension. So you have the line of tension under your bra strap or your ribs, so kind of the upper abs. And then you have a line of tension lower down along those hip flexors. So I always think of those two horizontal lines across my body. In some videos, we're going to be playing some clips in this whole tutorial, but you will see me engaging that lower abdominal region and hip flexors. And you're going to see me doing that with a yellow band underneath. That is my accountability band, my accountability buddy band. But basically what that does is that gives me immediate sensory feedback where I can pull it myself and see, am I engaging? You know, that horizontal lower line of engagement. Are my hip flexors engaged? Are my abs engaged? I can immediately check. You can also get a partner or friend to check. So if you have someone in your home who can come up and give it a little tug, ask them to do accountability checks on you. Just walk by, give it a little tug, okay? That band should not move because your back should be glued to the floor like a magnet. It should be that much of a good contact point. The second horizontal line of tension goes, as I said, across my upper abs. One trick that came from my coach and how to get those to engage, if you're someone who's struggling to feel it, and struggling to feel things is really common. If you're someone with HES or HSD, or you're dealing with joint hypermobility or neurodivergence, holding a weight or an object kind of forces you into a little bit of flexion up there. Those 2 points need to be engaged. One is not enough. You need to be thinking of those 2 lines of engagement. Now, when it comes to neck pain and dead bugs, I think that comes a lot from over-engagement. So when you engage too much through that upper horizontal line, that line across the abs, what you'll notice if you continue, and I encourage you to do this as a drill, do not injure yourself doing this, but if you keep engaging, you're going to engage so far along that anterior chain that you will feel your neck start to engage. And when I think back of my decades of trying to do dead bugs, I think I was in a lot of pain because in addition to engaging my abs, because I was engaging my abs, I was doing an okay job there, I was also engaging my neck. And that was what really picked on my symptoms. I would get horrific headaches. It was awful. I tried Pilates classes many, many times, and I just couldn't make progress because I couldn't find an instructor or a coach who was able to appreciate that I was injuring myself and that we needed to figure out what was going on from that perspective. So if you're someone with neck pain, please, A, don't ever do any exercise, certainly any of my content that exacerbates your symptoms. We do not want that. But B, try that drill and see if you can feel the point where you engage those upper abs and you keep letting that engagement happen. Like you're almost intentionally going to lift your head up off the mat. And I want you to see if you can feel when your neck muscles start to engage. I think of it like a little meter. What we want is just enough engagement that we get that line of tension at those abs, but not so much that it continues up. So play around with that, see how you feel. Once you have those 2 lines of engagement really well established and you can do them, and there's even that wall drill, you can go stand against a wall and practice engaging your abs just by reducing the space between your back and the wall. Once you have that down pat, you can start to play around with the movement. So initially, I tend to go holding the position first. If that's too hard to hold the position, and you can just do that feet on the ground, knees bent, you could put your feet up on a surface. So put them up on a wall or up against a chair so they're elevated and you're in that position, but you don't have to deal with the weight. You could also look at starting to do a really, really tiny, tiny movement. I'm not a fan, and I was talking again with my coach about this the other day, of like having one leg up against the chest and then just moving the other one. That's kind of pointless. You're not really working on tension. I'm not a fan of it. But once you get those 2 lines of tension really well established, you can start to move the legs a tiny bit. So you'll see a clip of me now probably doing some really like subtle movements where we're just moving a few millimeters, even a few centimeters. So I do recommend that you try that. And then when it comes to the full movement, we start to potentially use the arms. The arms took a really long time for me. I struggled to get my shoulder and my shoulder blade, so my glenohumeral joint and my scapulothoracic joint, to move together as one. That took me like 6 months to get. I would just always feel like I was forcing movement through the front of my shoulder, which you never want to do. It's an absolute no-no. So it might be that you're only moving your arms a tiny bit initially, and that is what I did. Or it might be that you're even not moving them at all and you're just focusing on the legs. But working through these progressions, and I can put kind of a general little rep scheme in the description below, kind of how I would do it if I was trying to do little and often. That is the secret, by the way, little and often. But working on that over a year is how I got from not being able to do dead bugs at all and having a disc injury to now being able to do dead bugs for breakfast. So hope you enjoyed my tutorial. Be sure to check out my book, Help, I'm Hypermobile, your how-to guide for HEDS, HSD, and life in a hypermobile body. 1% improvements add up, and fighting for those is really, really important if you're someone who's dealing with chronic health issues. So if you like this, you might like the book.